You've probably prayed about it, journaled about it, talked to your friends about it, and you still can't figure out why you are stuck in this area of your life. Maybe it has nothing to do with your circumstance as much as it has to do with something you just can't see. Today, I'm going to share with you the 10 most common blind spots we have that's keeping us stuck. Hi, I'm Robyn Coffman. I help spiritually mature women unlock that part of their life they want to feel more free in. Okay, so here we go. The first blind spot that is very common is assuming. When we make assumptions about what we think is supposed to happen in life, about what we think people are thinking, we create a blind spot that we don't even know we have because we are already making a conclusion without truly testing the waters. And oftentimes, those assumptions are rooted in some kind of fear that blocks us from seeing what's actually happening. Number 2 is expecting. When we have a script in our head that no one else has read, we are making an expectation and putting that out there. And it may not be realistic, and especially when we don't speak it, it creates friction and a blind spot because we expect a certain outcome without actually naming what it is we expect. And that creates a real bind and blind spot. Number 3, idolizing. We can put people and scenarios and our dreams into an idolized place where we put them on a pedestal and we don't see it for what it really is. And that can go with our past by over idolizing a past relationship, our childhood, or it could be our future, just thinking it's just going to be cakewalk moving forward because I've done this in my life. And unintentionally idolizing can create a blind spot, especially when it's a person where you feel like they can do no wrong. You miss the red flags and you clearly don't see even the yellow ones. All right, the next is minimizing. We have a blind spot and we minimize when we talk ourselves out of reality and we deflate the seriousness or the importance of what's happening. And that could be bad habits that we have where we just like, oh yeah, I probably have a little too much sugar or caffeine, but you know, it was a stressful week. And we minimize the compounding impact of our choices or our thinking, and it creates a blind spot we don't intend to have, but it grows very subtly. All right, the next is denying, and that's basically like literally the elephant. You're standing in front of that elephant, but you're still saying there's not one there. There's something about your situation you don't want to face. Either you're intimidated by it, you feel powerless, or you just don't want to deal with the pain and discomfort of hitting it head on. And so you avoid and deny its existence. And when we do that, gosh, we set ourselves up for staying in abusive relationships, work environments, surrounding ourselves with toxic situations because we feel addressing it is just too scary. Denial is a classic blind spot, which leads to the next one, self-protecting. We may be self-protecting our heart because it has been hurt too many times. And so we can't see the good that's coming toward us, let alone receive it. Or we still live our lives mistrusting of someone who's actually earned the right to have our trust, because we would much rather protect our vulnerability than risk it going south again. And that's a real thing, but it can be a blind spot keeping you from what you really want because it is to you too good to be true. But what if it's just healthy? What if you can let your guard down and you just don't know how to trust that new way? All right, a few more. Catastrophizing. Oh my goodness, we can create a blind spot when we just live automatically thinking the worst case scenario. Like nothing good happens to me. I'm going to be taken advantage of. It's going to rain on my wedding day. Like you name it, you just train yourself to catastrophize. And that's really a sad blind spot because you miss out on hope and optimism and having eyes to see the good things and to experience and enjoy them because you're always looking out for what might be around the corner. That's no way to live. And that blind spot you may think is helping you by self-protecting you, like we just talked about, but that catastrophizing is really not what Jesus talks about regarding having and living an abundant life. That is truly stealing, killing, and destroying the kind of life he has for you. All right, three more. Flooding. Emotional flooding. You might not have heard this term before, but it happens to you, it happens to me often. That's when our emotions get too big and we get overwhelmed, just like you think being flooded is, and we shut down. We shut down our discernment and we shut down our intuition and we're just in reaction mode. And when we're emotionally flooded, we can't see things accurately. Our blind spot is we start seeing, thinking, and feeling very irrationally because we're flooded. And that can lead to some really second best choices in how we move forward. All right, projecting. Man, a lot of times unknowingly, we can put our inner world onto our outer world and project, gosh, if I am feeling this way, you must be feeling this way. If I think this way, you must think this way. Because I've had these experiences, of course, you can relate, and I assume, back to assumption, you have had the same experiences. That's actually projecting, putting what is ours onto someone else and believing they should just get it. That blind spot creates a lot of miscommunication and disconnection in our relationships. And I'm sure you can relate to that. Lastly, comparing. This is like projecting, but it's about when we actually measure our insides against everyone else's outsides. We look at them and think, gosh, why can't I pull it together? She seems to have an easy life. Oh, what does she do that I can't figure out? And we get in this comparing mindset, which creates a blind spot because we can't see our strengths. We're constantly measuring up, and it's not usually because we're inflating ourselves, it's because we're deflating ourselves and not accurately seeing what's in us. I hope that makes sense, and I'm very curious which of those 10 you relate to the most. Stick around because we're going to 2 by 2 break those down even deeper and see how you can then correct that automatic tendency, that default you go to, so you can live more awake and unlocked to the life you want to live. So make sure you subscribe to not miss even just one of them, even if you think it doesn't apply to you. It could be a blind spot.